When most people think of stray dogs, they imagine mutts, mixed breeds, scruffy animals. What most people don't imagine is a show-stopping purebred dog, such as my husky Orion. He gets called a million things: jackal, fool, ball of fluff, baby, but never mutt or mangy, despite the fact he was a stray. The difficulties of owning many trendy dog breeds has led the dog population, particularly strays, to explode in recent years. Every type from mixed breeds to designer breeds are being given up on every day. For any of you that have pets that are like members of the family, it might be difficult to imagine someone throwing away a dog like a piece of trash along the road. But it continues to happen every day. For anyone here who doesn't have a dog or any kind of pet, you might be wondering why you should care about a bunch of stray dogs without anywhere to go. Besides the ethical reasons of animal welfare, strays pose significant dangers to people, such as causing car accidents and incidents of aggression. The problems associated with the overpopulation of dogs is widespread and will continue to worsen if not addressed properly. One of the unfortunate realities today is there are not enough homes fit to care for all the dogs that exist in this country today. The population of dogs in shelters rose to an all-time high during COVID and has shown no signs of lowering anytime soon. Rescues and shelters have implemented policies of only accepting strays by appointment in an attempt to manage overcrowding. Most shelters and rescues no longer accept owner surrenders at all. Unfortunately, this does not stop many from lying about the origins of the stray that they leave there. For those that find the act of lying about the origin of the dog too much, they resort to abandoning these dogs in isolated areas with no hope of returning to their former home. Many rescue organizations have put transportation networks in place for dogs to be adopted nationwide. Many areas, such as California and Texas, have such a gross overpopulation of dogs they can't find adopters locally and have resorted to searching across the country for fitting homes. It isn't just in shelters and rescues that the overpopulation of dogs present today can be seen. Just by looking around in your own community, it can be seen. Population of strays wandering the streets, scrounging for food, and struggling to survive is at an all-time high. Without homes to care for them and no room at the shelters, they live on the streets. One of the most common dangers dogs face on the street is being hit by cars. This isn't just limited to endangering the dog's life either. Many well-intending motorists swerve to avoid hitting an animal that ran out in the road. Unfortunately, this often results in endangering the driver of the car and other drivers nearby. The swerving car can end up in a ditch, up a telephone pole, or even smashing into the front of an incoming car. The difficulties these dogs face didn't just begin on the streets either. The majority of dogs that end up wandering the streets don't come from comfortable and loving homes. For many of them, neglect and abuse are par for the course. Underfed, beaten, and confined are how they spend most of their days. The scars left by this treatment can cause severe aggression and anxiety issues. While a minority of the stray population, there are even dogs wandering around who are trained to attack other animals and humans. If one of these dogs with existing issues is wandering loose on the streets, there's a real danger of them harming someone. All it takes is one trigger setting them off to lead to tragedy. One of the effects of having poorly adjusted dogs wandering loose is the increase in poorly adjusted dogs wandering loose. The issue of having a large population of strays is that many are likely to not be fixed. People who are likely to abandon an animal are the same people who do not put money into their pets, such as getting them spayed or neutered. Often mill dogs get dumped when the owner has no more use for them or has to close up shop. As these strays mingle, this leads to more puppies being born, further increasing the dog population. Studies have shown that the temperament of a dog is heavily influenced by the temperament of their parents and the stress levels experienced by their mother during pregnancy. Allowing poorly adjusted dogs to reproduce freely not only increases the general population of dogs, but also the population of dogs requiring extensive training and handling to live a proper life. Without properly addressing the issue and educating people on the effects of dog overpopulation will only continue to worsen. One of the most commonly heard phrases when it comes to dogs and pets in general is adopt, don't shop. What that means is instead of buying a new puppy or pet from a breeder, go to a shelter or rescue to adopt a pet. One of the largest advantages to this option is based on a fundamental principle of economics: supply and demand. People continue to buy new puppies, and breeders will continue to produce them to meet the demand. If the shelter is full, but people are still buying new puppies, that doesn't stop breeders from supplying more. What it does is make it even more unlikely that dogs in the shelter get adopted. There's also significant savings when adopting versus buying. Most shelters run adoption specials every couple of months and when at capacity to get animals into new homes more easily. For many people, an older dog out of the puppy stage is also a more practical option for a pet. Puppies require constant supervision, training, and care in their early months. People with a busy schedule or who work, it is more than they can reasonably offer a dog. Older dogs don't require as much hands on time in their early days in a new home like puppies do. For many people, a dog is a status symbol or a social boost. Having a trendy or fashionable breed is all they think about. Many of these people never consider going to a shelter because they want the perfect dog that fits their ideal image. To them, a shelter dog isn't impressive enough. I have two purebred Siberian Huskies that turn heads and get compliments everywhere they go that prove otherwise. One was adopted from the Humane Society of Tacoma and Pierce County, and the other was picked up as a stray on the streets of Tacoma. The impact that a dog owner can have on a overpopulation isn't just limited to whether they shop or adopt either. Pet owners have certain responsibilities that come with owning an animal. When those responsibilities are met, everyone benefits. Many of the dogs who end up on the streets are unfixed. Once they get out there isn't anything to stop them from making puppies another stray. One of the responsibilities of every pet owner is to have their pet spayed or neutered. There's a common misconception that breeding dogs is based purely on physical appearances. That couldn't be further from the truth. Of the main considerations reputable breeders look at when deciding which dogs to pair together, appearance is only a small part of that. Often temperament, intelligence, proper genetics, and health play a bigger factor than appearance. Like so many other fields, experts exist in areas like dog breeding because it is not a simple thing to do properly. It requires time, research, dedication, and planning. One of the dangers of unplanned pregnancies in dogs is poor genetics. Huskies, for example, have a couple of known genetic issues with their hips and eyes. Reputable breeders only allow dogs to reproduce that have no history of those issues for several generations and run DNA tests to check for any dormant issues that may be present. To help with a dog getting a dog spayed or neutered, there exist programs to help cover the cost for low income families. There are also nonprofits and low cost spay and neuter clinics that are dedicated to helping families get their animals fixed. One commonly used method is by issuing vouchers to those in need that can be taken to local veterinary offices to have the procedure done at. One of the advantages of adopting from a shelter or rescue is they always have the animal fixed before they go to their new home. It does bring up a very important question, though. If a dog owner can't afford to have their dog fixed, can they afford to take care of them? One of the largest reasons so many dogs end up as strays is due to poor planning on the owner's part. There's a list of questions that every potential dog owner needs to ask themselves. How much time do I have to care for them? Can I afford their medical bills? Do I live in a place that is good for a dog to live in? What breed fits best with my lifestyle? Often these questions go unasked and the relationship between owner and dog ends poorly. I will once again go back to my husky as an example. If you live in an apartment, the husky is not the right dog for you. Many people will argue otherwise, but unless you walk 10 plus miles a day and have soundproof walls, odds are you're going to get complaints from your neighbors. Smaller and quieter dogs are a much better fit for smaller living accommodations than larger, more active breeds that require large spaces. The cost of owning a dog doesn't just end with the food or toys. There are vaccinations, getting them fixed, yearly physicals, emergencies, flea treatments, and so much more. Dogs are a large financial commitment not to be taken lightly. Before getting a dog, every person should carefully look at their budget to see if it makes sense for them. No one should be put in a position of having to choose between caring for their dog or paying rent. Choosing the right breed is another critical consideration many fail to do. Choosing a dog based on looks is the most common way someone chooses a dog. But just like with breeding, there are more important considerations. Will they have enough room where you live to be comfortable? Do your energy and activity levels match? Are you willing to vacuum twice a day and three times on Thursday? Carefully looking at what lifestyle you live and what breed best matches that will always lead to a happy relationship between dog and owner than choosing based on appearances. I always tell people that I didn't choose my dogs, they chose me. The overpopulation and mistreatment of dogs isn't just something important to me, it is very personal to me. Two of my coworkers found this stray husky wandering around at a job site. He was severely underweight, dehydrated, and had worms in his stomach. To put into context just how underweight he was, imagine in the course of 2 weeks gaining half your body weight and then still being told by the doctor that you don't weigh enough. You're severely underweight. That was the first 2 weeks we had Orion. That was how starved he was, how dehydrated and unhealthy he was when we first got him. At that time, he wasn't even 6 months old yet. His age put him right at the timeline for being a Christmas puppy, and the family who thought he was a great gift for Christmas didn't think he was worth keeping in under 4 months. Some people, maybe even a few of you in the audience, might think that he's just an animal. What does it matter how humans treat him? Jerry Bentham, well-known philosopher, had a slogan for what determines who gets any kind of moral consideration from those of us capable of making those decisions. The question is not, can they reason, nor can they talk, but can they suffer? I fully believe that dogs give to us more than we can ever give to them. For any of you looking at getting a dog, I highly encourage you to start by researching what the best dog for you would be. Then look at local shelters and rescues. There are many organizations that specialize in rescuing and rehoming specific breeds of dogs. There's local ones that focus on German Shepherds, Malamutes, Huskies, and all sorts of various breeds out there that their goal is to get these dogs into homes where people feel they're going to be a good fit who really want them. And it's a great way to get that dog that you think is going to be right for you without having to settle if you can't find the right dog at a local shelter. That's, something that's becoming more common. And with the internet, it's very easy to research these organizations and locate them. Another way, if you're not looking at getting a new animal, maybe you have a pet, um, there's some very simple ways that you can go about every day to help support all the efforts that get made to control the dog population, and to get things back under control. One of those is simply by choosing to shop places that support these organizations. Many local stores, donate and run campaigns to get funds to these shelters, these rescues, help with spay and neuter clinics, and really support the efforts that are being done every day to get this population under control. Mud Bay, for instance, is a big supporter of local Tacoma Humane Society. And that's actually one of the things when you adopt a dog from the Humane Society is you get a voucher for Mud Bay when next time you go in there, um, for I believe it's 25% off your purchase to help incentivize people and kind of reward them for adopting. And they also frequently donate food, toys, different things to the shelter. So every time you're shopping there, that's a way to support the shelter without even having to directly give money to the shelter. And another way, very simple, easy way to help with this is if you know somebody considering getting a dog, ask them a few of the questions I've mentioned. You don't need to be aggressive about it, you don't need to be judgy about it, but often it's easy to overlook questions thinking about something by yourself. And when someone else mentions a question, it's not that they're questioning your decision, it's just a simple, "Had you thought about this?" Um, and many people, logically will go, I hadn't thought about that. That's something I missed." Uh, and you really would be doing them a favor. You're helping them and whatever dog they might end up with to have a better relationship, be a better fit, and be set up for success better than they would have been had you not asked that question. And it's as simple as just asking one or two questions, in passing. The overpopulation of dogs is going to continue to worsen unless major changes are made in how dogs are thought of and the responsibilities that come with owning them. There's so many considerations to make before getting a dog, and the work doesn't stop there. Owning a dog is not always easy or simple. It requires time, patience, money, and love. The consequences of recklessly increasing the dog population is becoming more clear by the day. The hazards they pose, roaming free, keep increasing. The poor decisions of dog owners continue to worsen the situation because of lack of planning and consideration. Potential dog owners need to critically think about what they're doing before they add a new member to their family without considering the consequences. The wonderful dogs out there who are desperate for a second chance should not be thought of as lesser or inferior to the new puppy from the store. The decision to get a dog because it is trendy or a kind of accessory without thought and consideration for the commitment it represents has led to a drastic overpopulation of dogs.